strong women, all different with similar viewpoints, making sure y'all listen to the topic at hand. Hot for the fans, mature conversation, man, they gotta be fam. Roxy, Monica, Janet, and yes, impressive and intelligent, demanding respect. That's what you get when you put them all together. About to change the world for the better. This is Scattered Minds Podcast. Scattered Minds Podcast. Scattered Minds Podcast. Scattered Minds and all that. Scattered Minds Podcast. Scattered Minds Podcast. Scattered Minds Podcast. Scattered Minds and all that.
On today's episode of Scattered Minds, we will talk about trauma. We will talk about the challenges of overcoming trauma, and we will share with you how we overcame our traumas and how we got to a place of healing.
Yes, trauma is an emotional response to a terrible event, accident, rape, or natural disaster.
So I'm going to come with a quote from Maya Angelou. She said, "You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them." And I feel like everybody can kind of, be inspired by that quote.
So, wow, what is the trauma that you have faced, Janet?
Well, I experienced, I would say, a trauma for years, I would say. I was in an abusive relationship for some time, and it was hard, but I feel like now that I look back on it, I feel like I had to go through that because I was strong enough to overcome that, to help somebody else that's in the same predicament, that don't have the strength to overcome those type of things. A lot of people, they're afraid to talk about it. They feel like, oh, this happened behind closed doors. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to say, but your strength and whatever you did to overcome that can help somebody else. So please don't be quiet, speak up on those type of things that you overcame, because it can help somebody else that might need that. You don't know what happens behind closed doors. A lot of people are experiencing it. It's not always physical thing. It could be, a mental, emotionally, type of thing. And I mean, it was hard. I endured it. I went through it. Nobody noticed, that I experienced trauma or I went through some type of abuse unless you saw me with a black eye. Like nobody saw what I was going through because I had a smile on my face. We could put a facade and make everybody see, oh, she's perfect. Her life is great. Her life is, she has no problems. Nothing's going on. And, really deep down inside, I was alone. I was alone. Like I was able to, have God. Like I found him in my storm. I was able to say, God, I don't want to keep going through this. I don't want to continue to endure this. This is not what I want. I've seen abuse. My mom went through abuse with her ex-husband, and it's like, I never wanted to be in a relationship like that. And then having to go through it, I'm like, dang, like I know now why my mom, it was really hard for her to get out. Like I understand when a woman says like, it's easier said than done. I can say it, you could tell me till you blue in your face, girl, you deserve better than that. Everybody knows how I was. I'm a fighter. I'll fight, and just, that was my go-to. Like, you do me dirty, you hurt me, I'm fighting you. And then when I got into the relationship and I didn't defend myself, I never understood. I'm like, why? Like, why am I afraid, of being abused? Like, am I afraid, of like, why am I going through this, And it's like, it's like God showed you the first time, but you didn't listen. And then you stood there, and now you have to go through this because this is what you wanted. So now I had to endure. I had to go through it. God never left my side though. He was there for me. Yes, I was going through hard times. I was going through, crying and just sad. I mean, like sad, I'm depressed, and it's crazy that I say that now, but I never would admit that I was depressed at that moment in time. Like I would look at pictures and I'm like, dang, I was really depressed at that moment, but I would have never admitted to myself that I was depressed. I never said, it never came out of my mouth, yo, Janet, you're depressed, you're going through a lot. Never, not one time. And I never understood, like, maybe I didn't want to accept that. Maybe it was like, no, God made me strong enough to know that I'm not going to allow this to like overtake me. I'm not going to give it that much power. It's already has enough. It's already taken who I was, who I am. It changed me. But I feel like that situation changed me for the better. I went through it, I overcame, thank the Lord up above, and I was able to say, you know what, I don't deserve that. I deserve better than this. This is not what God wants me to have. Love doesn't do those type of things. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's kind of something that I experienced. What about you, Monica? Have you experienced any type of trauma that you was affected by?
Yes, I have. My trauma comes from when I was a young girl, maybe like 9, 10, when my mom and dad got divorced. And my mom, I'm going to get a little emotional, guys, because it is a touchy subject, but people have to know that you can heal from this and you can get better, but you have to deal with it head on first. But after my dad and my mom got divorced, my dad was raising me, my brother and sister as a single dad, but then he had help from family members. And I hated my mom. I hated my mom so much that I just wish bad things about her, why she didn't take us with her. And I didn't like her for a really long time. And I remember when she tried to make amends with the when she tried to make amends with the relationship with us, I was always in the sidelines. I didn't want her to be in our lives. I didn't know why she was coming around, and now I'm like a teenager, and all I could think of is at that time, what was going on with me is I was grieving the loss of an ideal mom. So while my friends and even some of my relatives that had their moms around, my mom wasn't around, And when she started to come around and try to build a relationship with my siblings and I would always be so standoffish, I didn't know how to embrace her. I was very, very hurt and didn't know how to heal from that hurt. And then later on, I would talk to family members and even friends of hers that would always tell me, Monica, even though your mom wasn't around, she always spoke about you guys. And she always said how much she missed you guys and she loved you guys. And I never knew that. I never knew that about my mom. And so after time gone by, I rekindled a relationship with my mom, and I started talking to her more, calling her, and it's really sad because my mom is actually a cool person. She's really cool and loved by a lot of people, and I love her dearly. So I'm building on that relationship, and every day I just try to hopefully know how much I love her, and I really do miss not having a mom when I was young. So that really traumatized me as a kid, and I just always felt like something was wrong with me. She didn't want me, and that stuff really plays on you, and even as you get into an adulthood. So when I took care of my brothers and sisters when they were younger, I try to be the best mom I can be. And even when I had my son, I always try to be the best mom I can be, because I said I will never do that. But later on, after I found out certain things about the relationship and with my mom and I just started to give her the benefit of the doubt and just let her in. And that was the best thing I could have done. And I also having God in my life and just praying and just really opening up to allowing her to just show me who she really was. And once I got to that place, I was happy. I was happy that I let her in, and I thank God every day that he put it on my heart day by day. I'm telling you guys, it was not easy, but it was very possible.
I can imagine.
Yes.
Were you the oldest out of your siblings?
Yes, I was the oldest. So
probably you have a different view of a lot of the things because you had to kind of explain.
Yes, I did.
That's gotta be really hard.
The thing is, when they were younger, they loved my mom. They was like, oh, mommy's coming by. Oh, we're gonna see mom. And I was just like, so what? I was just so very standing, and she didn't deserve that, and she didn't argue, she didn't curse, and she didn't never turn away. She still kept coming around, and that didn't keep her away. So again, she was very, very patient, but that really, I see how that really bothered me later on. So much so, when my son was small, I wouldn't even take him to her house. He didn't even know her as grandma. So it's like I had a lot of healing to do, but later on, I can't, and you definitely do get there through all that hurt and pain, you do heal. But I'm telling you, by the grace of God and Him having me in favor, He really showed me the loving person that she is. And just allowing, just say, Monica, open up your heart, just to deal with it. And I had to deal with that inner child that was hurt too. So once I got to that place, like I said, she's such a cool person.
Yeah.
I love her to pieces.
Parents, like,
No, you don't.
Like,
you don't.
You get whatever you get.
You don't. And I wish I would have known her, back then.
Oh, like
I wish I would have taken
like
a chance.
different,
I wish I would have given her a chance.
But it was hard for you too. Like you say, like you wish you would have gave her a chance, but it worked. It worked both ways.
Yeah. Yes, it does. But she's good people, and I adore her. So thank you for letting me share that. There's a quote by James Baldwin that I always go by, and it's so true, and I use this in my everyday life, and it goes by not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. And it is so very true. So thank you guys for letting me share, and that's how I heal from my trauma. Just putting God first. Absolutely. And just allowing myself to heal from that hurt, and then giving that person a chance to
absolutely
show me who they are.
What about you, Roxy? What type of trauma you've experienced in your life?
They say you are the age that you experience your trauma. So my trauma took place when I was a younger girl, and I had to learn how to forgive the person who did it to me, because later on it affected me in my relationships with men and things like that. And I had to learn how to forgive the person who caused that trauma. And even as a child, I felt like it was my fault. But then when I grew up and I realized it really wasn't even my fault, that's something I really don't even discuss or something, but I just felt like that was big trauma for me. And, that's why I always, people always be like, oh, you just have this standoffness about you. But, that made me such a strong person in my own right. And that's something I had to experience. I really don't, I had this mindset after a lot of things happened to me. It was like, it is what it is in life, and you can't be like that. But that was my story.
Wow.
Healing from this, like that's the big question. How do you heal from it? And it's hard. Like, yes. How many years you had to, give it time before you're able to give the first step. Like, okay, now I can allow you in my life. Now I can start healing. I have a quote here from, I hope I'm not saying this name wrong, Akash Dubey. It says, healing doesn't mean the damage never existed. It means the damage no longer controls our lives anymore. And I feel like when you heal from it, it doesn't take over. You don't give it no more power than it already had. Absolutely. But getting to that healing point, it's a lot. Some people don't heal from it.
Janet, people have to understand they have to be patient with themselves. I had to be patient with myself. I had to pray, and I had to reclaim that control over the situation. Stand back and look at it for what it was, but I had to be honest with myself as well. You have to be honest with yourself, but guys, be patient with yourself. It will come. It's not a race, and it's not on no one else's time.
It's baby steps.
It really is.
It's baby steps.
It really is.
And everyone the people who cause the trauma, they have to be okay with the time of your hit when you decide you want to heal.
Absolutely.
They can't just think you're just going to heal immediately. Like, I can't. I really, it burns me up inside when people feel like you're supposed to just get over things. No, I'm going to heal, and I'm going to get over it on my time.
Absolutely.
And people don't really understand that. They could do something and be like, all right, you're supposed to get over it. It's okay. It doesn't work like that.
But that's not their call.
It's not.
To give a duration of when you should get over your healing. It's up to you, and it's when you get there.
Absolutely, you're right. But a lot of people, feel like you healed, you moved on from it, but they want to keep bringing it up. Leave it alone. I've healed from it. It is what it is. I move forward. I don't deny the things that I've gone through. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've accepted it. I moved on from it. If anybody ever needed some type of encouragement in a situation like that, I have no problem stating what I've been through, my testimony, because my testimony can help somebody. Absolutely. You know, and a lot of people say, well, oh, you know, you're talking about the things that you went through because you want attention. When somebody said that to me one time, I was like, the fact that it wasn't even said to me, it was said to somebody else because that person had a conversation about me and was like, oh yeah, she says that because she wants attention. I never say what I've been through because I want attention, because I don't care. It is what it is. I went through it. I overcame it. God gave me the strength to overcome it. And I'm only speaking on it because that person needed to hear it. Absolutely. So if I have to say what I had to say because that person needs to hear it, maybe it's not for them. Maybe it's for a friend of theirs. Mm-hmm. Somebody that's going through something and they don't know nothing about it. How do you overcome that? But I overcame it. I'm going to show you how. You know, that's why I don't have a problem talking about it.
Well, you know, like self-love is how you gain your power back.
Absolutely.
So you have to learn how to just allow things that have happened in your life be a door opener to say, you know what, I need to let it go. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's not saying like you forget what happened, it's done and it's over with, but you have to let it go for your own mental health, for your own better good. Like, if I keep holding on to all the things that have been said to me throughout my life or things that have been done to me, I would just be a very bitter person. Mm-hmm. And I never want to be a bitter person. And even when I realized a lot of things that I have overcome and the things I had to heal from, I had to look back and be like, you know what, you're starting to become bitter because of all the things you have this shell up. You have to be so protective over yourself without knowing. And that's when I became a person that always felt like I had to pick apart people who were damaged. So that became my response to the things I have been through in life, always trying to heal other people because I felt like I need healing, so they need healing. Mm-hmm. But sometimes I had to heal myself first before I could heal anybody.
Absolutely. I believe a lot of people don't know their strength or how strong they are. Absolutely. Like when you're in these different type of situations, these traumatic situations, one quality that stands out to me above them all is resilience. Mm-hmm. Resilience basically is the capacity of a person to maintain their core purpose and integrity in the face of dramatically changed circumstances. You never know how resilient you are in the face of these traumatic situations. We are a lot stronger than we think we are. We are a lot stronger than we know us to be. But when you surround yourself with loved ones, when you have a great network system, when you are ready to open up and receive love as well, that definitely helps. And that shows how strong you are.
And you have to be willing to receive love.
Of course, absolutely.
Because sometimes you're so jaded you're so jaded about different things. You like, this doesn't seem, they just want something, or I didn't learn how to be loved. It took me a while to really truly learn how to be loved because of different things that I've seen, and I lied to you not. It took me time, like throughout this 10-year course of my life, this chapter of my life, it took me time to realize what love was, what friendship was, what family is, what self-love is. Like, I had to take my time to get to that place. I had to learn what I like, what I don't like. I had to learn how to set certain boundaries with it. And, I didn't want to go through those I used to have like such anxiety from trauma, from little tiny traumas. Like I grew up in a good household. My mom protected me. I had my mom, I had my sister, my brother, but there were things on the outside that, caused me to have different traumas, and I had to learn how to heal from those different things. Like, trauma is not even just the physical, it's also verbal. Like, I had like, family members say things to me, say like, you're not going to be nothing, this and that. I had to prove them wrong. I was in a relationship, I never forget, one of my exes told me like, you was damaged goods when I got you. Wow. And they was the one that would kept projecting so much stuff on me. And I was like, that's it, this. And I'm like, really? So you had to really get to a place of realizing like, I love myself so much that I gotta get out of all of this. Absolutely. Like, people can't, you have to really love yourself to get out of the relationship with anybody. Love yourself enough.
I'm gonna go back to that saying, hurt people
hurt people. And you can see that. You
absolutely.
can see that within somebody. You always be like, God, what happened in your life that got caused them to be so evil, so mean, and they don't want, and they don't. Some of those people don't even want change. They don't want you to.
They don't want to admit that there's something wrong.
Yeah, but you know that hurt is so deep sometimes.
Yeah.
They don't even want to face it.
Nope. They can't look at the man in the mirror.
But then look how that exhibits in their everyday life, in their relationships with whomever they have relationships
And
with.
without them knowing, you notice that you're
Yes.
saying like
Yes.
you just are a very unhappy person.
Look how they treat themselves, though.
So that's why we always have to maintain our humbleness.
Absolutely.
Always keep God first. And understand that when people behave a certain way, you say, wow, you know, that person must be hurting. And just not knowing how to deal with it. So what are some ways that, you know, we can heal from certain traumas? What are some ways that you guys can heal from certain traumas, have healed from certain traumas? What were you saying?
I learned to just forgive myself first.
Okay.
Like I had to forgive myself first. I had to learn to be like, it's not my fault.
Okay.
They have issues that they gotta figure out, and my part that I played in it, not realizing they had issues internally that they had to fix, you know. And that's with the person who hurt me as a child. Somebody may have hurt them, or even the relationships I may have been in, whether they were friendships, family, anybody, they were hurt. And when you start hearing more of when you start hearing more and more of people's stories, you start going, I get it. I get it. I get it. All right, that explains it all right there for me. That's all I needed to hear. And when you start getting to that place, you start really truly understanding why they are the human being that they are. But sometime when you get to a certain point in your life, when do you feel like it's time to change? When do you be like, I gotta change that about myself? Because there's some things that unhinged behaviors and stuff like that I felt like I had to change and better myself with, and I just was like, you know what? I need to fix that. I need to heal that chapter. I need to heal that little girl right there. I need to heal that teenage girl right there. I need to heal that person right there. She never healed. That part of you never healed. I had that moment. I never forget one time I got mad at John. It was something small, and I was like, you always making promises, and you did this and that. And then in that moment, I looked at him and I was like, oh my gosh, that was that little girl that felt that moment of everybody making promises and never. Oh wow, I'm about to cry. So you know,
I know. It's a touchy subject, guys. It's a touchy subject, but these conversations need to be had. They need to be had. You know, they need to be had.
Yeah, so you know, you have to heal, like, and that's how I'm all about healing. I'm all about therapy. I'm all about, you know, expressing your mental health, like, and I feel like people shouldn't just shun you away with those things. Like, I was always brought up in a household and family, like, you're just supposed to be strong. You pray about everything. Pray. And I'm never going to change that, because I know I stand on the word of God on everything I do. Yes. But God also give us resources if we have to talk to somebody and stuff like that. Like, I tried to do therapy. That was a funny experience. The lady did not look like the lady that I signed up with. She did not look.
That's scary. I see the picture.
I was like, this is not the same lady. This is not the same lady. But you know, also, even not even having to talk to a therapist or something like that, sometimes just talking to your friends is sometimes the best therapy. And sometimes you get to have we unraveled a deep conversation within us three yesterday. It was just so deep that we were like, wow, like, you got to know a different side of each other, and you know, it was just so refreshing that it was such a safe place, because sometimes with friendships you don't have that safe place. You still feel like you still got to keep those layers, but it was just so refreshing that we got to have that conversation about so many different things we experienced in life, you know.
No judgment.
And that's what I said. I live in a glass house, and everybody that I know lives on the same block, so we have no room to throw stones, because then the property would go down.
It will.
And what I loved about that conversation that we had, all three of us, we all felt and understood the same thing. We all were able to connect. We were all experiencing the same energy depletion that was going on. Like, it was like, wow, this is really deep. The way how we were all interconnected, that's deep.
To just know, like, you could feel my sister's pain.
Absolutely, absolutely. So when we can use one another as a sounding board, like you said, that is one that is so therapeutic.
Oh, it is.
That's why true friendships are so important. So when these things happen like this, people might not want to go to a therapist right away, but they might just need that good cry. They might just need a listening ear. And when you have that individual, you just let it all out. You could be vulnerable with this individual. So, it's very important. Janet, what are some ways that you have found a healing place or overcame your trauma?
I mean,
what helped you?
I to be honest, like, I really gave myself to God. Like, I like, in my storm, like, even in the abuse, and all of that, I remember, like, just, opening the Bible and just reading it, me feeling like, oh my God, I can't do this, God, just take me. Like, I don't want to live anymore, and just feeling like that. But then in the same breath, I will come out and be like, no, absolutely not. My life is very precious. I'm meant to be here for something, whatever it is. I'm meant to be here. So I knew that, yes, I am going through something, and it's very hard because I didn't have anybody in my circle. I didn't allow them into what was going on. So I had people out in the outs, but the people that, the few that were there, they didn't care that I pushed them out because they still came around. They still showed up, and that's true friendship. That's true love. Like, I'm going through this domestic violence, situation, and it's like, all I had was God. Like, yes, I had people around, but they weren't there for me the way God was. He gave me the strength to say, yes, I'm going through this, but I sought his face. I was able to open up my Bible and read it and got something different, even if it was the same scripture. My go-to scripture is Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, lean not to thine own understanding. Acknowledge him in all thy ways, and he will direct your path. So in my storm, I kept my faith. And yes, I was being abused. I was being, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, being told, I want to see you burn in hell. For someone to literally tell you something like that, it's like, wow. And even you saying that and you trying so hard, God never let me touch that ground. I was down, but I did not touch that ground. I was able to stand on my 2 feet with God's strength, and I was able to overcome it. God, of course, he did things in my life to so that, we separated in the way that we did, and he went on and left. He was where he needed to be, and I was set free, and I tried to work it out. I tried to, because even through all the abuse and everything, I still try to give a chance. I still was like, a chance, but it was like there was no more chances. I didn't have any more in me. And when I said, enough is enough, I kept saying that I would not be there for you if you do such and such and such, and I'm still there, and I no longer have that in me, the strength in me to be around anymore. I'm sorry, but I have to just part my ways. And then I started to notice, it wasn't more or so about the children anymore. It was more so about, you're so worried about me. And it didn't have to be that way. And when I started to notice that I was more mature in a sense of trying to co-parent and I wasn't getting the same in return, I stopped all communication because I need my peace. I need to have that, and it's not for that person. It's for me. I needed it, and I was okay with where I left it because I know what I put in the relationship. I know what I gave. I gave more than you deserved. And all you did was mistreat me and, try to bring me down. But all I can say is thank you. I appreciate what you did to me because all you did was bring me closer to the Father that I have up above. That experience, made me seek God's face. Like, I thank you for that. I appreciate what you put me through, and I know a lot of people say, oh my God, how? You have to. It's for you. The healing is yours, not theirs. Absolutely. It's your healing. If you heal and they see that you heal, they cannot affect you anymore. The door is closed. I've closed that chapter. There's no way that you can affect me emotionally anymore because I've blocked you. And that's spiritually, physically, I've blocked you. you can no longer come into my realm, and I'm not going to allow you to do so. Right?
Yeah, that's a lot, but very moving. It took control. But
You have to. You have to take control. It's like, it's your life. Are you going to allow someone to have control over your emotions? They're yours. They're yours. Why are you going to allow someone to bother you that much, to take you out of that zone? But I had to learn how to fight for mine. I had to learn how to fight for Janet. I had to look in the mirror and say, you know what, you're a beautiful queen. You don't need that. You know, you're worthy. You're worth more than that. You know, and if they can't see that, that is not your problem. You've done everything that you could do. And I'm talking to myself in the mirror, because that's what we need to do. We got to look at that person in the mirror and say, when are you going to start loving you? If you don't love you, how are you going to love somebody else? How are you going to say, I love somebody else, if you don't love you? If you can't say, you know what, I love myself that much, you're not going to do this to me. Why? Because I'm not going to allow you to do that to me. I don't deserve that. And if you can't come correct, you can't be in my circle or in my life.
That's true. People are only going to do what you allow.
Absolutely.
People are only going to do what you allow.
Absolutely.
And when you truly love yourself, you will just get rid of everything that cause any kind of toxic impact on your life. Any kind of toxic impact on your life. Like I said, I always say, like, the best thing I could ever did was pick up and move to New York. Like, I was in a real unhealthy relationship. I felt like even with my friendships, it was unhealthy. That relationship was so bad. I'll never forget the last time I was around them, they said they was going to pull a gun out. So they pulled the gun out. And that's why I can't listen to Kid Cudi. No, they had the gun. No, seriously.
Wow, you serious?
Yeah, so like they had the gun, they was about to kill themselves and everything like that. And that's when I was like, you know what, this is not what I signed up for. And then the friend that I had, she had messed with him before. Like, that's what I say, it was really a toxic and I was too young to deal with that kind of stuff. I was like in my early 20s. I was like nope. I said, you know what, I had a conversation with God that day, and I was like, I'm out. I picked up and left.
Wow.
Yeah,
You gotta do what you gotta do. Sometimes, like I said, it's not for them, it's for you. And you know when to remove yourself. You know what? I think God tells you to.
He does, and he will continue to put you in situations that will be like, I thought I told you so.
Uncomfortable, right? He makes you really uncomfortable in a situation.
That's how I always know when it's my cue to leave anything in life. I always say, I feel uncomfortable. How many times I tell you that all the time?
Yeah.
I be like,
my thing is, you know why you uncomfortable.
I'm
not gonna even sit there and keep telling you why you're uncomfortable. You're uncomfortable because you're supposed to move. Because whatever your purpose was is no longer needed anymore. It's time for you to move and put your presence somewhere else that is needed. Because somebody else needs to grow from the light that you have.
Because God he will make you so uncomfortable. He will make you so, and he will make it so visible. You be like, God, but hold on one second.
Wait, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet.
You be like, hold on, wait a minute. Hold on, wait.
You move a little bit too fast now.
Hallelujah. You be like, I was speaking in tongues since I was 14.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Hold on.
So like, God will put you in such uncomfortable situations and settings, and you be like, you know what, this isn't for me. This isn't. And I'm telling you, it's within everything in your life. You could even want to do something, and God will make all kind of distractions for you. All kind of distractions for you.
So you don't go your way.
Yeah, and you be like, sometimes I remember when God made something so uncomfortable for me. I was like, all right, God, I get it. All right, I get it, because like, you're doing too much. You're doing the most right now, God, and I get it. So you have to listen. You have to be obedient to Him. You have to really be obedient to God.
I agree. I agree. And you have to stand still and allow Him to work. And once that happens, it's hard. it's easier said than done. It's not always so, because we feel like, we can fix everything, right? We always want to go in and can fix it. God, I'll let you fix that part, but let me fix that part. But that's not how it goes with Him. And that's not how it goes. So we have to allow ourselves to be still and allow Him to work through us and work for us. And I promise you, we always say He don't work on our time. He work on His time.
Absolutely.
So that's why He's always on time.
And then I have a question. How many times do you forgive with anything in life? How many times do you forgive? When do you know to stop forgiving?
That's kind of hard, because that goes with family, friends, relationship, children. It goes with everything.
But once you forgive, again, the forgiveness is not only for them, it's for you. But once you forgive, you leave it alone. There's nothing more to do after that.
Or once you forgive, and if the action is still done again, or
you
anything like that,
then you remove yourself, you remove yourself out of the presence of that individual, because you've done your part. And you're not going to sit there and allow this person to keep on doing these actions after you have forgiven. So you've done your part. You just remove yourself from the situation because it no longer suits you. It definitely is. But you, again, we forget how resilient we are. Absolutely. We forget how strong we are. Once we put our 10 toes down and we do what we have to do,
we got it.
Before you know it, that person will be a mere memory.
And that's the time when, like, you ever had your friend keep telling you something and you just be like, all right, I done heard this story like 15 times, right? Mm-hmm. So you listen to your friends, and then after that, sometimes you just have to listen with you can't give no advice, you can't have any input, you just gotta go, yes. And then they say, but no, I need you. I've told you what I feel like you should do. I feel like you should do X, Y, Z. I done gave you the tools that I feel like is best for you to remove yourself from any of these situations. Now it's up to you to do that.
I mean, you could bring the horse to the water, but you can't make it drink. That's true.
Another thing that works, guys, is journaling or, writing.
I be scared somebody gonna look.
Yeah, somebody gonna look at that stuff because people nosy nowadays.
I do journal though sometimes.
But just writing that out.
I write my emotions.
Is really good to write it out, especially your emotions. Yes, and meditation is very really healing.
Meditate as well. Meditation and journaling. You really get things out on paper, and you really just release and just write, and you'd be surprised how you feel afterwards. That's
true. I mean, it's part of healing. I mean, knowing to write it down and writing it down, letting it go. Some people might need that. Let me write it down and I'm gonna let it go because yes, I put it on paper, so I already expressed how I felt about the situation. Now it's time for me to move on. Some people do deal with that.
Did you ever write a note to yourself, boil it up, and then throw it away?
No.
I did that. Like I always say, write a note to yourself, boil it up, and throw it away. That means you really released it.
Yeah,
so you write down how you feel in that thing.
I mean, that's a good way of healing too. Writing your deepest, darkest secrets and burning it so nobody know about it. But you wrote it down so somebody know.
Now when you rip it up,
you know it. Like you wrote it so the paper knew. Now time to go. Okay. Well, this was a really good topic, I just hope that anybody that, can watch this episode can give a feedback on what type of trauma they've experienced and, what type of healing they've got out of it. Are they healing? Are they still healing? Or do they need help healing? I think a little bit of what traumas that we've experienced, we ain't professionals, but life is real. We've experienced this in real life and we've overcame it. So if anybody needs a little bit of encouragement or needs to know a little bit more of how we overcame any of this,
and healing is always on your own time. And always keep that in mind. Healing your own time.
Absolutely.
You could be hurt today and heal in 20 years, but that is on your own time.
Absolutely. But just know there's baby steps. You got to crawl before you start walking and you got to walk before you start running. So it's baby steps. Like, you got to take your steps, take your time. Because not everybody has the strength to heal as quick as others. And not everybody know how to leave things in the past. Like a lot of people say, I forgive you. But you never let it go. I'm not saying not forget about it. But don't let it overtake and don't overpower. Now you letting it reside in a place where it does not need to reside anymore.
Exactly.
All right, guys. And thank you so much for watching Scattered Minds. I guess we're ending a prayer. Yes, well, I want to say one thing. Songs 46, God is within her. She will not fail. God would help her at break of day. Always remember that God is always within you. God is with you. And no matter what, all you have to do is say his name. My mom used to always tell me, whenever you're scared of something, all you got to do is call on his name and he'll be there. Absolutely. So always keep that in mind. So I just want to say, I pray that you guys have a fruitful week. I hope that all your blessings and all the healing is in you this week. Amen. And I just pray that God open up doors, and that one little prayer that you've been praying for, God give it to you. And if it happens, please let us know.
Yes,
we want to know that we did our thing. I love these ladies. I feel like God has anointed us. I always say the best compliment you could give somebody is that they're anointed and they smell like shea butter. So those are the best compliments you can give somebody.
Absolutely. And just know when you pray. Absolutely.
That was so good.
Look, and also when you pray to God that prayer, just know he heard you the first time. Don't keep asking him. Okay, so you're delaying it, your own self, because you're not believing the first time when you prayed. When you come to him, just make sure you on point, and you're coming wholeheartedly, naked. You gotta come to him.
Be specific with you.
Exactly, and don't now when you pray for something and you get it, don't mess up. Don't mess up, because you asking for it. You asking for it. So when you get it, don't mess up, because some people ask for stuff but they're not ready for it. And God is like, I'm not giving it to you because you're not ready for it right now. But now you asking, I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna see what you're gonna do. Amen to that. Amen.
I know, right? Amen to that. For real.
All right. Thank you guys.
See you
Thank
guys.
you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Absolutely.
Make sure.